this has always been one of my concerns with everyone's favorite CEO, Elon Musk, is that while it's all fun and games, it's not so cool when something that he says or does hurts a market category that, and I'll only speak for myself here, but I'm probably not, that I support. And that would include technologically advanced vehicles. That would include electric vehicles. Waymo released a statement last week talking, and it was really just in a time when a lot of our communication is hyperbolic, when it's just rhetoric, when it's just marketing speak. It was a very down-to-earth, realistic way to talk about a subject that is fiendishly complicated. And again, what I want to talk about here is while Tesla's talking about full self-driving chips and all this other fun stuff, here's a company that has worked very hard on a similar thing, not necessarily the same thing, but a similar thing, and is saying, we're not going to call this full self-driving. We're going to be very careful about how we roll it out. And I think that is so much more of a respectable approach. That's all I've got on that for now.
I think they're just playing language games to get in the news. Because if you try to use your Tesla this way today, they'll tell you that it's assist. So,
right, it's an assist to something called full self-driving.
That's the name of the finished product. It's not finished.
But we've had this discussion before,
so
and
many
you
times
always back up on what you were saying a second before, and then laugh as though it's a humorous thing. It's not. If the finished product is called full self-drive, and it's not finished, then it should be called partial self.
It's called full self-drive beta.
Exactly.
When it's Gmail beta, it's all fun and games. Right? When it's this, it's a little different. And we can have the discussion about, like, should a company be beta testing full self-driving with non-professional drivers on open roads? Is that responsible?
They're licensed
drivers. No, but when something goes wrong, when something goes wrong, you blame the person behind the wheel. It's all self-regulating.
So I didn't necessarily want to get down that road, but I did want to offer that. I thought that Waymo did a nice job of saying this is a difficult category. We're doing our best to be responsible and be safe and produce this product that someday we'll have, but probably not soon. And they're talking like 5 years.
I think they're trying to stand out from the other competition, not just the red one.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There's other, it's not just a matter of Waymo versus Tesla by any means, but Waymo is certainly one of the most visible of the smaller, the lesser known companies, shall we say, whereas Tesla's a household name.
So is Google, just to be clear. But
absolutely. But again, when my Gmail fails, nobody dies. Nothing blows up. There's no property damage. I'm pissed, but I didn't pay for it. When your $100,000 FSD car doesn't work, it's a different issue.
Well, if you had any data to show that those vehicles were less safe and that they were causing deaths, we could have that discussion. Instead, you're just saying, "Oh, I don't like the way they named it," and neither does Waymo. And the naming. I mean,
they might crash, but have they yet?
Well, I mean,
when properly used,
we've already discussed the safety comparison of, like battery powered cars to internal combustion engine cars. But I remember last year we covered a situation in which a car veered into a guardrail
while it was being piloted by a guy playing video games,
and it was using a beta version of full self-drive. So we can conveniently blame.
Actually, I think he had autopilot 1.0, right?
When the car decides to veer into a guardrail. And then we go down this rabbit hole where you guys tell us that we're full of shit, and then we go on to the next story.
Yep, and it's going to happen here too. Because, you can have...
Because I have the controls. Next story.
I get it. Because we can't stack corpses on top of Teslas, that we don't have data. We don't have data that it's less safe. But I'm
Right.
telling you that any manufacturer that wants to test something like autonomous driving, full self-driving, autopilot, whatever you want to call it, what Tesla's doing, by calling it a beta and giving it to people is, in my opinion, not the safest way to do it. Now,
But the whole industry is
maybe
doing
I'm
it. You've got
wrong.
GM, Kia, Hyundai, BMW, Mercedes. They just
That's
call
right.
it different
That's
stuff.
doing what?
They're rolling
They're
out
all doing
driver
this driver assist.
features.
Right. And that's a
Driver
good thing, right?
assist.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's totally fine.
yeah.
Okay.
So
That's
I mean,
cool.
it's
Yeah,
less
you-
people crashing into you because they're fucking with their phones. Unless the phone is crashing them into a guardrail.
I'm going to disagree, but that's okay. I mean, that's what the show's about.
Yeah.
We're allowed to have different opinions. I just, time will tell. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm fully willing to admit I've been wrong on this show more than a few times, and I will be in the future. And I'd like to be wrong here. Hopefully, we won't be talking about dead families or dead people
Well, we
in
will.
the name
Even
of progress.
even when it's fully baked, fully ready, fully vetted.
No,
and
stop.
declared
Don't
safe
even
by
go
the-
there. You don't get to make that argument on this show. You just don't. That we're going to give up some dead people to make technological progress.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying
No,
that once
that-
it's
yeah.
vetted and baked and regulated is okay, we are still going to lose people.
Yeah. I don't want. Honestly, when we start talking about the human cost for technological advances, like it's okay
I'm not
because
saying
it's going to
okay.
happen
I'm saying
anyway.
if you lose a tire, then you're still going to lose somebody. If they lose a tire, or if a sensor goes out and they're not paying attention to the alarm, or I don't know what it's going to look like in the future, but we're not going to have zero deaths. It's just
No, I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, I know what you're saying.
arguing that. I'm sorry, Tony. Go ahead.
No, I just, again, to me, and getting back to the Waymo thing and the nitpicking what we're calling it, which is where I am in staunched, because yes, I will say that Teslas are extremely safe. They've pulled off some incredibly amazing maneuvers on their own before the drivers had time to react. But as you have said, they're still beta. And to call it full is not yet realized. So it's a misnomer to tell an unwitting population, and we are very knowledgeable, so we are not included in that population. I feel it's misleading to tell the population at large that this is full self-drive when the driver must still be responsible and able to take over at a moment's notice.
but they're not telling the public at large. They're, as you get in the car and you turn it on, it says hang out of the wheel. This thing isn't what it's advertised as yet.
Yes, but they're still calling it full self-drive.
And as I just found out when I had the memory chip in my car replaced, and I had that was so it went back to factory settings for a lot of stuff. You have to go in and explicitly turn this on and acknowledge that it is not complete and that it is under development, and you do need to pay attention. That's
a full
all right
page.
there.
You
And
go
it's
to the
not
full
just
page.
some EULA that you rip open and don't read. I mean, you have to acknowledge it.